truth is something the mind arrives at by leap of reasoning based upon evidence perceived. Truth is objective. Truth equals objective. Senses are subjective. Senses equals subjective. Let A equals truth. Let B equals objective, and let X equals senses, and let Y equals subjective. We then have the formulas A equals B and X equals Y. Now, if we ask B an arbitrary number like 1, then, since A equals B, then B would also be 1. A/B equals B/B. Reducing the right side of the equation, we get A/B equals 1. We can do the same for the other equation. Also, X equals Y, X/Y equals Y/Y. Reducing, we get X/Y equals 1. Now substitution of X/Y for 1 in A/B equals 1 gives us A/B equals X/Y. Therefore A equals X*B/Y. Truth is equal to the objective times senses divided by the subjective. As Y subjective approaches 0, truth approaches infinite. Infinite truth is equal to senses and the objective with no subjectiveness whatsoever. Daylight occurs when any of the variables on the left-hand side of the equation are negative. False. Note, any one or three of the variables on the right-hand side of the equation can be false, but not just two. 1 equals X*B/Y*A and X*B/Y*A. 1 equals 0! Now that really says something about truth. Let us all first understand the definition of truth, then we can understand when we talk about it. Scientific theism, the religion of God, is an unorganized religion that arrives at knowledge of God by the self-evident truths that are everywhere. I.e.emc circumflex accent 2. Laws of thermodynamics, etc. that anything anywhere at any time can find. This seems to be a far better way than relying on books of man written by man for man, that only seem to cause conflict. Far better is to use the self-evident truths that are nowhere to arrive at what truth. Island scientific theism shows that with the limited knowledge we have, we can only prove 3 things about the deity. 1. There is a supreme benevolent being. 2. This supreme benevolent being is benevolent. 3. Because of the inherent nature of the supreme benevolent being, it is important how we try to live our lives, and the try is emphasized. State-of-the-art, top-of-the-line instruments like the Hubble Space Telescope show that the universe is expanding and has been doing so for around 10 to 15 billion years. Yes, ask Mr. or Mrs. Scientist how the Big Bang happened and they will not be able to tell you. The Big Bang is a fact. Background cosmic radiation, telescopes and such prove it so. Yet at t equals 0, the moment just before the Big Bang happened, people like Hawking and Einstein and others show us that at that moment a big gigantic black hole existed. The point of raw potential, as Hawking once said to describe this black hole of black holes, or as I said and say, an infinite dimensional point of infinite raw potential. Idea of IRTS. At t equals 0 a particle existed that had no mass, like black holes have or do not have, but it had infinite energy like only the universe has, and of course a volume of nothing as black holes ever don't have. So the idea IRT has infinite energy plus no mass plus no volume. When you plug those numbers into relativistic equations, you find that the speed of light can be exceeded by an amazingly large factor. In fact, an ideal IRT can obtain an instantaneous velocity. It can go from point A to point B in no time at all. And of course on to point C and on to the infinitely next point. All in no time at all. Instantaneous velocity is where the ideal IRT goes so fast it appears everywhere at once. Reflections of it are the fundamental particle that science still looks for, and these reflections conglomerate together to form stable particles like quarks, photons, electrons, atoms, molecules, planets, suns, black holes, and the most stable form of energy, the infinite dimensional point of infinite raw potential. Scientific truths that anything, and where, at any time can find show it to be so. For absolute zero is a temperature that can never be reached. Both Einstein condensates show that when particles get very close to the temperature of absolute zero, they melt into a single quantum state and behave as a single quantum particle. The universe will never ever keep expanding forevermore. It will reach a state where it almost reaches absolute zero, and then it will melt into a single quantum state and behave as a single quantum particle. The self-evident truth that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but only changes form, shows that it is an infinite dimensional point of infinite raw potential and not just the mere and meager point of raw potential. for it is forevermore both ways along time's arrow. For you have already read this an infinite number of times, as there has already been an infinite number of Big Bang cycles, the difference between them all being a quark, maybe a pico-nanometer to the left of where it was last time in the last Big Bang cycle, or the clothes you are wearing may be a different color, and that is true and equivalent of a scale hard for us to comprehend, an infinite number of lives. The ability to do all one thing at a time.